Hello student, welcome to our physics discussion, that is physics in a smart way. We are continuing with our discussion in vector and scalars, especially vectors, and we were in the subtopic that is how to add the vectors. And our discussion was based on analytical method. So first analytical method is complete, that is parallelogram rule or that is cosine law. Here we have to go to the second rule, that is rectangular component method. That is number 2, rectangular component method. Rectangular component method. Or the resolution of the vector into x and y component. However, before starting this method, let us come back to the old one, that is parallelogram rule. We know last video I have discussed with you that whenever you get a method, whenever you know a principle, okay, that may be a small one or a big one or a mediocre one, okay, you should try to think of its pros and cons, positive and negative. If you go to the positive aspect of rectangular, that is parallelogram rule or cosine law, you know it has a lot of positives. Like that is the first analytical method which gives you the formula, a formula to find out the resultant of two vectors A and B. If you go to the con side or the negative side, we know the method is slightly limited because you say resultant will be the root over of, that is a square plus b square plus twice ab a into b into cos theta. The formula has got space, but it can incorporate only two vectors in it. It can add at one go, it can add only two vectors in it. But if my question involves 3 or 4 vectors, we know the method will be starting to become cumbersome. That becomes repetitive. Let us say I am adding 4 vectors, one is A, other is B, third is C, and fourth is D. Then we know the method involves a process where you have to consider any 2 vectors as the first vectors and find the resultant. Then that resultant with the third vector, we find a new resultant. Then with that, if you combine the fourth vector, the process becomes too much repetitive, too much lengthy and all that. So the negative of this parallelogram rule is that if there are 2 vectors, that is okay, it's well and good. But more than two vectors, the process is bit repetitive. The process will become bit cumbersome. So that somehow limits our power to deal or to find the resultant of more than 2 vectors. So to address those situations, we go to the other analytical methods, and rectangular component method comes as the second one in the list of analytical methods. Okay. Second aspect is that if we are adding 2 vectors, and if I consider graphical method of vector addition, one is A vector and second is B vector, but when I am asked to add A and B, we know we have to put B in a proper way, that is head to tail style. Then the resultant is always taken, the resultant is always taken as the vector which starts from the tail of the first or head of the last. Everybody knows that, you also know that, okay? And mathematically or symbolically, we say resultant equal to A plus B vector. Okay. In this equation or in the situation, when you add A and B, comes the resultant. So R is the resultant of A and B. The question is, what A and B will be of R? Will be of R. The answer will be components. Component. A component means a part of. Because we add A and B to create R there. So A and B obviously are a part of R, and a part is known as a component. So as you know, a component means a part of. Okay. R is the resultant of A and B, and A and B are components of R. Okay, that's it. We move over to another, so to say, question in this context. And the question is that into how many components a vector can be broken down or a vector can be resolved. Can be resolved. Into how many components a vector can be resolved. Okay, let us take an example of a vector, that is vector A or B or C or vector P. Already we have used the words ABC many times. Let us say our vector is vector P. Okay. The question is, you can create how many parts, or you can break down P into how many parts. In fact, if you go for the answer will be unlimited. Answer will be unlimited. You know, if somebody wants, he or she can show, starting from the tail of P, that P is consisting of two components, maybe that is P1, that is P2. Here in the diagram, we clearly show that P1, P2 combinedly they create P. Somebody else can show P to be consisting of 3 or 4 components, as you like. Okay, here in this diagram, I am showing the same vector P that is consisting of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like this. In fact, into how many components a vector can be broken down, there is no limit to it. Maximum number is clearly infinite. Okay, the more space you got, more displacements or more turns you can take. Okay, so the answer is not fixed. A vector can be broken down into 2 components, into 3 components, into 4 components, any number of components. That should be our answer. I think I am clear on this issue. So let me remove the question and the diagram. Here, we are interested in resolving a vector. You might be wondering why the teacher is taking a path like that. Our job is to combine the vectors and find the resultant. But now the teacher starts to talk in a way, he is more or less interested, he's more interested in breaking the vectors. Yes, this method seems to be move in the opposite direction, but finally when you come down to the conclusion, you will be able to realize. Okay. Bit lengthy one, because I'll be going slow methodically, considering every step that you may encounter, every detail that you may falter. Okay, at the thing should be very clear because this is a very, very important aspect or important way of vector analysis. Let us say I got a vector. Let us say that is vector A. That is vector A. Okay. And we do one thing. Better take the tail. You can take the head, better take the tail. We try to draw our standard X and Y axis. In which way you take X axis, it is not obligatory that X will be horizontal or something like that. X may be in any direction, but mind it, X and Y and Z, they have to be mutually normal. Especially we are interested in planar geometry here. X and Y, they need to be normal to each other. Otherwise, you'll be having serious complication and that can be detrimental. But it is not necessary that I'll be taking X horizontal. I may take X like this and normal to X, you'll be having Y. Why it is so, you'll be knowing it automatically, okay, but not now. So I have drawn the X and Y axis. That is the coordinate origin. Now our job or the question is, hypothetical question is, we draw, we break, we resolve A into two components, but with the condition is that one of the component will be parallel to x-axis, other component will be parallel to y-axis. But first of all, there may be some, let me redraw A here. Okay, so now we come back to our job. Our intention is to find out or is to break or resolve A into two components, but one component is to be parallel to x-axis, other is to be parallel to y-axis. To draw them, there is no such big issue, no such big hassle. You just think practically. This is the vector, that is the tail of the vector, and that is the head of the vector. Assume as if you are starting from the tail of the vector, and ultimately you have to arrive at the head of the vector. But you are not allowed to go in such an odd direction. All of your movements are either parallel to x-axis or parallel to y-axis. They have to be. So if that is the case, you will be starting from the tail of the vector and ending at the head of the vector, but your movement are restricted. Either you move parallel to x-axis or you move parallel to y-axis. So if your movement is like that, then you know you start to walk from the tail, which is A. You walk for some distance. When you see that you have come down to this just below that point, then you walk upwards. Literally, we say. Now you end at the head of the A. So there, these two displacements, if I put the proper arrow sign designating the direction of your walk, then you know already we have broken down A into two components. This component and this component combinedly, as per the vector idea or vector style, you know their resultant will be A. But this component is a component which is parallel to x-axis. We brand it as AX. This component will be parallel to y-axis. We brand it as AY, A with subscript Y, A with subscript X. Or else a student can claim that let me move in this direction. He or she can move in a direction like this, fast parallel to y-axis. Okay, like this. Then he or she can move like this. Okay. this is AY and this is AX. So anywhere you go, but you do not draw two triangles simultaneously. That will be wastage of effort. Either you show this triangle or you show this triangle. Okay. Here this is AX, that is AX. Here this is AY, that also is AY. So it doesn't matter in which direction you start first. Okay. We have to show that vector A is broken down into two components. One is X component or component which is parallel to X, and other is Y component, the component which is parallel to Y. So AX plus AY, they are equal to A. Okay. Well, one thing we have missed, we have taken A as the main vector, and we have assumed that we know on A, clearly on A. But thing is that to fully know a vector, you have to know its magnitude. At the same time, you have to know the direction. So far as the magnitude of A is concerned, because you have drawn the arrow, we must be knowing its length and all that, or else we can measure it. We know the magnitude. But what about the direction? We have forgotten that. So far as the direction is concerned, here, direction can be denoted by some angle. Because our x-axis and y-axis are reference line, we assume that x and y are ever present. If simply I put down the angle that the vector makes with x-axis, then the direction is known. Or if you put down this angle that vector makes with y-axis, also you can find out. The relationship between these two angles are very much clear to you. Sum is 90 degrees. So either you show the vector making an angle with x-axis or making the angle with y-axis. Both way it will be doing. I have taken x angle, no problem. It is not that you are required to consider y angle or you cannot consider y angle. No, any angle will be doing the job. Okay. Now, we have broken down A into two components. One is X component, which we know as AX, other is AY. Now the next job is whether you'll be able to find out their values or not, their magnitude or not. So for the time being, if you forget the vector nature, because already vector nature arrowheads are shown, if you take their magnitudes, we know we have created two right angle triangles. If this angle is theta, then this angle also will be theta, or this angle will be alpha, which is 90 minus theta. Any triangle you consider, either this triangle or this triangle. If I consider this triangle, I consider cos theta. Cos theta equal to AX by A base by hypotenuse. So that gives us AX magnitude equal to A cos theta. Okay, now X is known. If you know the value, if you know A, if you know theta, then X can be evaluated. Similarly, taking another trigonometric function, that is sine function, if I consider sine theta, then sine theta equal to perpendicular by hypotenuse, that is AY by A, and cross multiplying AY will be coming as, so to say, that is A sine theta. Now you know our components are known. Okay. That is an easy way a student can remember, because every time you know there are, if the situation is like this, maybe you are having 3 or 4 vectors and all the vectors are to be broken down into their x and y component. So a lot of sine theta and a lot of cos theta you are required to consider. So I'm repeating again. So if you got 3 or 4 vectors and if you are given assigned a job of resolving the vector into their components and finding individual x component and y component, like 3 or 4 vectors A, B, C, D are given, you have to find AX, BX, CX, DX, AY, BY, CY, DY. That can be a cumbersome job. That is a simple trick which you can employ and you can test it also. Okay, sorry. there is a simple trick. You can employ like this. Say, we draw our, let me remove. We draw our x and y coordinates. We draw the vector. Okay, say that is a vector. You need not draw all those triangles because we have started explaining the method for the very first time. We have engaged in drawing all those triangles. We know x component of the vector should be a vector that is parallel to x-axis. So that is ax. And y component of the vector will be parallel to y-axis, that is ay. Please be careful about the component direction, and if there is a mistake, then nobody can help us. And look at the angle, which angle is given, because A is completely known. This angle is given initially when we started to work out the issue. This angle we have taken at theta. So this simple diagram is enough. You need not go for all those triangles because I have written x twice and y twice. That was for explanation purposes. For solving, problem solving, you need not go into all those intricacies. X component will be parallel to x, y component will be parallel to y. Both are starting from the tail of the vector. If somebody is desiring to add x and y, he or she can do so and can recreate a, no problem. Okay. So how to determine which component will be having how much magnitude, you have to know when a given angle is there or when a certain angle is given, one of the components will be always coming in the form of main vector into cos theta, other component will be coming as main vector into sin theta. They cannot come both in the form of cos, both in the form of sin. That is never possible. Okay. So you just look at the angle. In our case, this angle is given. You see which component touches the angle. We know x component is touching the angle. Ay is bit away from that. The component which is touches the angle will be always in the form of cos. Touch means cos, away means sin. And the component which is away from the given angle, that will be in the form of sin theta. Touch means cos, away means sin. Similarly, we can try it once more. Let us say we have been given a vector that is b vector, and direction of b is given by in terms of this angle, that is alpha. So as usual, you draw your bx and by components. We know this is bx, okay, that is by. It's a very simple rule, very simple trick, that is by. So for us, our present situation is concerned, you can clearly see y component is touching the angle. So by will be equal to b cos alpha. And here x component is away from the angle, that doesn't touch. So bx will be, that is b sin alpha. Okay, touch means cos, away means sin. If you do not forget that, that will be always helping you. You may not go through all those details, cos theta equal to base by hypotenuse, sin theta equal to perpendicular hypotenuse, all those things. Touch means cos, away means sin. That is the simple trick for you. Okay, let us stop here. That is the first part of rectangular component method. Our method is not over. In the second part, in the subsequent video, next video, that too, we will be discussing our means of how several vectors can be added using this method, that is breaking an individual vector into its components. Thank you. If you like, one thing I must tell you, if you know all those things, you can skip it and go to subsequent videos or subsequent portions. Okay, if you do not know, then I'll advise you to go through it in complete detail so that this basic Basic things should not escape us, otherwise we'll be at a loss. Please like, share and subscribe my video. Okay, thank you again.